If you permit, I will try. No one could fix the billionaire's system. Until a homeless girl did imagine a teenager who sleeps in a shelter by night and scavenges broken laptops by day. To the world, she's invisible. Just another homeless girl people pass on the street without a second glance. But inside her mind burns an extraordinary gift, the ability to read code like poetry. When a billionaire's prized technology collapses in front of investors, his best engineers panic. His reputation teeters. And then, this girl steps forward. Within minutes, she fixes what no one else could. But that moment of brilliance sparks more than applause. It ignites jealousy, prejudice, and a campaign to shove her back into the shadows. What happens when the invisible refuse to stay unseen? And what shocking secret about her past will rewrite everything in the end? Stay with me, because this is the story of the invisible coder. Naomi Williams had grown used to being overlooked. 16 years old, she spent her nights in a women's shelter on the east side of the city, her few belongings packed into a worn backpack. Her mother had died 2 years earlier, leaving Naomi to bounce through foster care before she chose the shelter instead. Safer, quieter, at least somewhat predictable. By day, Naomi roamed the streets searching for broken electronics, cracked tablets tossed in dumpsters, laptops with missing keys left on curbs. To most, they were trash. To Naomi, they were treasure. She taught herself to solder, to swap parts, to breathe life back into machines others had given up on. She scavenged free Wi-Fi from a cafe's back alley and downloaded every coding tutorial she could find. Other girls at the shelter painted their nails, gossiped, tried to disappear. Naomi disappeared in her own way, slipping into lines of code, creating games, programs, even crude artificial intelligence models. But nobody noticed. Nobody asked. To them, she was just the quiet black girl with the weird computer stuff. At night, she'd write in her notebook. Not diary entries, but algorithms. She'd sketch system architectures, security protocols, even ideas for something no one had yet built. A self-defending AI that could learn to fight cyber attacks on its own. She never told anyone. Why bother? Nobody believed brilliance could come from a girl like her. But fate had other plans. One morning, while volunteering at a local library for free Wi-Fi access, Naomi overheard a commotion. Flyers advertised a Tech for Tomorrow showcase, where startups would pitch to investors, including billionaire Richard Kane, known for his ruthless empire in Silicon Valley. Out of curiosity, Naomi slipped into the back of the crowded event, unnoticed as always. What she didn't know was that this showcase would shatter her invisibility forever, and that, in the end, the world would discover one shocking truth she'd carried with her all along. A truth about her family, about her legacy, that even she didn't fully understand. The showcase buzzed with energy. Bright screens lit up futuristic apps. Drones zipped overhead. Presenters polished their pitches. At the center, billionaire Richard Kane unveiled his pride. Aegis, an AI-powered security system he claimed could stop cyber attacks before they began. Investors leaned forward. If true, this was worth billions. But then, in front of cameras and flashing lights, the demo crashed. The system glitched, stuttered, and froze. Kane's lead engineers rushed forward, typing furiously, but nothing worked. Investors whispered, some smirked. Kane's jaw tightened. His empire's image was slipping. From the back of the room, Naomi's sharp ear caught something the engineers missed. A recursive error loop, hidden in the system's kernel. She'd seen it before in a broken open-source project. Her fingers twitched. She knew how to fix it. Heart racing, she stepped forward. Security tried to push her back, but her voice carried, "I can fix it." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Who was this kid, this homeless-looking girl, daring to speak? Kane, desperate, waved her through. Fine, try. In minutes, Naomi's fingers flew across the keyboard. She rewrote the faulty code, bypassed the recursive loop, and rebooted the system. The screens flared back to life. Aegis ran flawlessly. Investors erupted in applause. Kane stared, stunned. But what should have been her triumph quickly soured. Engineers muttered, She must have cheated. Maybe she sabotaged it herself. The whispers spread. Kane's PR team downplayed her role, calling it a lucky guess. Yet, Kane couldn't ignore her. He offered her a position, a trial internship. For the first time, Naomi was inside the walls of Silicon Valley, working among experts who doubted her, scrutinized her every move. At first, Naomi tried to keep her head down, but her talent was undeniable. She spotted flaws others overlooked. She streamlined systems. Soon, Kane himself began consulting her in private. Investors asked, "Who is that girl?" That's when the attacks began. Anonymous emails told her to quit. Someone slashed her bike tires. Coworkers accidentally deleted her work. And then, one night, a chilling message arrived. "Street trash doesn't belong in our world. Leave before you're destroyed." Naomi's fear grew, but so did her determination. She began developing her secret project, the self-defending AI she'd dreamed of. It would be her proof, her weapon against invisibility. But Kane wasn't the only one watching. Rival mogul Marcus Webb, threatened by Kane's comeback, dug into Naomi's past. He uncovered her shelter records, her foster care files, and began spreading rumors. If he couldn't discredit Kane, he'd discredit the girl who saved him. Naomi's world spiraled. Investors questioned her credibility. Was she really a genius or a fraud? Even Kane began to waver. But Naomi refused to back down. Her project neared completion, an AI named Sentinel. Smarter, faster, and unlike anything in Silicon Valley. But unveiling it meant exposing herself to Webb, to Kane's enemies, and to the entire world. Still, Naomi knew. Her moment was coming. The city's Grand Tech Defense Summit arrived. A live cyber defense competition where companies would pit their AI systems against simulated hacker attacks. Billionaires, journalists, and politicians filled the arena. Kane's company entered Aegis. Webb brought his own system. And Naomi? Against Kane's orders, she uploaded Sentinel as a challenger. As the attacks began, firewalls crumbled, defenses buckled. Webb's system failed spectacularly. Aegis held longer but faltered under pressure. Then Sentinel came alive. Naomi's creation adapted in real time, countering every new assault with breathtaking precision. It didn't just defend. It anticipated, outmaneuvered, and neutralized threats before they struck. The crowd gasped. Webb's face darkened. And then Naomi revealed the twist she'd held in silence for years. Sentinel wasn't just code. It contained fragments of her father's unfinished work. A man she barely remembered. A black computer engineer who died under suspicious circumstances at Kane's old company. The truth dropped like a bomb. Naomi wasn't just a prodigy. She was carrying forward a stolen legacy. Her father had been erased, invisible like her. Now his genius lived on, undeniable, in his daughter. The arena erupted. Kane looked shaken. Webb looked exposed. Naomi, once homeless and dismissed, stood at the center of a technological revolution. In the aftermath, headlines blazed, "Homeless teen outsmarts Silicon Valley." Sentinel went viral. Investors swarmed, governments called. But Naomi didn't sell. She knew what she wanted: to build a foundation for kids like her, for those whose talents were buried under poverty and prejudice. Kane offered her a partnership. Webb was indicted for fraud, and the world that once laughed at Naomi now wanted to claim her. But she remembered the nights in the shelter, the loneliness, the invisibility. So she stood before the cameras and said, "Genius has no address. Brilliance doesn't belong to billionaires. It lives in shelters, in foster homes, in the margins you ignore. I was invisible, until I refused to be." The applause was thunderous. But Naomi wasn't finished. She announced the Sentinel Initiative: scholarships, mentorship, access to tech for underserved youth, and with that, the girl who once coded in the shadows became a beacon. Watch our previous video for another powerful story. The narrator closes. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because your support helps these stories reach the world.